Anita Among proposed that the election of a president in the future should be done by parliament, which is understandable. As President Museveni is growing older, it is going to be difficult for him at his advanced age to run around campaigning for president. So it's better you have a party that has a majority in parliament that is the one that chooses the president. In which case, that is the Uganda Constitution of 1967. That is the South African Constitution of today. Now, if Among suggested that, and you are Museveni, what do you read there? Because from 7, he may say 1, maybe she's proposing that we amend the constitution and have parliament elect the president, but she has absolute master of parliament, in which case she's proposing this to remove me. Or, even if you don't believe that, you would say, if we go forward, I need this amendment so that I don't keep running around campaigning. My party wins, and then my party selects me as president. But who is in control of the party in parliament? Because let me tell you one thing you can notice about Among. Among was very effective politician in electoral colleges. She was not an effective politician in the general public. Why? Because her ostentatious living, there is a way she appeared to the public as arrogant, as rude, but also as crass in her materialism. So there is a lot of hostility towards her. But that hostility comes from people who have never dealt with her person to person. The people who have dealt with her at a personal level have enormous admiration for her. You see, every member of parliament who campaigned right now and won, Anita Among went to each and everyone's constituency and campaigned for them. She's the one who moved across the whole country. I have a young friend. He's called Brian Kaboyo. He was recently defeated as mayor of Hoima. So he was telling me a story of how, when he lost the mayoral race, she called him to sympathize and empathize with him. Now imagine how many people. This is a small mayor in Hoima there, Hoima city, and you are calling them as the powerful speaker that she was. Imagine just how many people she has called and reassured. I have another friend I was talking to the other day. He said he had a contract to do some work. The contract was the people in the ministry were manipulating him out, and the friend says, "Let me take you to Among." He takes him to Among, and Among calls the PS who speaks Lusoga, and Among speaks in Lusoga to this PS and restores his contract. And he never said anything from this guy, but she just helped him. So you see that the people who worked with her at a personal level or who went to her for assistance, she was able to create a personal connection to them. A person like that in an electoral college becomes powerful. And as Robert is therefore saying, and this is what Robert had not pointed to, that even if this is a desire of Museveni to have the constitution amended so that parliament is the one that elects the president, you don't want to have a speaker of such influence, because then she can have herself elected. She can get impeached or vote of no confidence passed. So I think that Anita's biggest weakness, beyond the fact that she was blind to the kind of political costs that come from ostentatious public display of ostentation, and yet you're a public official, she also lacked the understanding of how power is organized in a revolutionary movement like the NRM, that there is always a boss, and never try to accumulate that amount of power. And people who tried, like Amama Mbabazi, like Chikale Kaihura, followed exactly that path. In fact, I'm convinced that Kaihura was very loyal to Museveni. He will never ever betray Museveni. But Museveni was convinced that Kaihura was a threat, and you saw how they took him out. And it is Kale Kaihura who recruited Anita Among to NRM. Are you guys aware? When he was Inspector General of Police, she was in FDC. He's the one who recruited her behind the doors, took her to the president, and brought her into the fold, even though she was an independent FDC MP. The fact that she did not see his career path and how it ended, Kale was a very powerful person. And she came and accumulated equivalent power as Kaihura had, and she has suffered the same fate. Now, of course, the Batoro say, Ningambera balinsi, baligur kuhura, meaning I'm telling those who are here on earth so that those up there can hear. So if you are trying to accumulate a lot of power, please be careful. There can only be one bull in the corral. When you're discussing Anita Among, I told you, I think when it comes to politics, I will give her a AAA rating. Remember?
I remember.
Because she has a very good intuition about the nature of the Ugandan psychology. more than anybody.
She understands
I should tell you
people.
another thing. If you read that article I wrote, the Museveni Anita Among bromance, I said in it that with 20% of the budget, she was able to achieve about 400% of the results Museveni needed. Museveni used to spend, before Anita Among became speaker, Museveni would invite the NRM caucus, argue with them, serve them tea, pay their loans, pay their transport, clear their cars, send their children abroad for treatment, and pay the... Museveni was spending a lot of money trying to control parliament. And not a single speaker before Anita Among lifted this burden for Museveni. Don't forget that Museveni is growing old. He cannot afford to sustain continuous battle at different war fronts, or constant war at different battlefronts. He has to preserve his energy and fight less. So what Anita did from Museveni and why she became so powerful is that she came and said, Mzee, you don't need to give us money. She started using the parliamentary budget to buy off MPs, to influence them to achieve whatever she wanted. She was using 20 to 25% of the money Museveni had been using to achieve results much higher. She was giving Museveni much more
with less
resources. And again, I tell them another thing. People say that the biggest power of Anita Among was money. No.
I also believe it wasn't money.
It wasn't money. Anita Among is one of the most skilled human beings in interpersonal relationships. Whether it was a bishop, an MP, a minister, a businessman, a journalist.
Even a poor person.
Yes. She had very good interpersonal relations. That's why she was very powerful in electoral colleges. You see, her overall national profile, people are hostile to her. So maybe if she ran for president, she wouldn't win. But if you put her in an electoral college where you can afford interpersonal communication to reach out to people, Anita Among touches people. I have a cousin from Bunyoro there in your area. This Batoro who shifted to Bunyoro. He was mayor
in Hoima?
Of Hoima, yes. That boy, Kaboy Adieri.
Oh, Kaboy.
Yes, Kaboy. So Kaboy was telling me, after he lost, among the people who called him, was Anita Among called him, said he lost enough to be elected as mayor, but she called him to empathize and sympathize with him. That presence of mind to call that mayor there.
All the way in Hoima.
Yes, all the way in Hoima. But that is the person that she was. She knew how to touch everything. Opposition MPs would go to her. Read my article, the Museveni bromance. I do mention that all these opposition MPs, they would go to her and express their deepest fears and anxieties. And she would attend to them.
And resolve them.
So where you, who does not have empathy for people to feel you need $1 million shillings to win somebody over. Anita Among just needed 250,000, a quarter of what you needed, because she touched people's hearts. There is a way she dealt with people. So she was able to win over that parliament with less money compared to Museveni because she has very good interpersonal skills. And therefore, if you are Museveni, you don't want a person like that.
Why?
Because they become a threat to your power. They become a threat to your power. Because remember, if you are Museveni and you see a person with such skills, able to win over judges, bishops, whatever it is, businessmen, politicians, practically including ordinary people, and win them across the whole country. This is accumulation of power and influence. What if this influence, these connections, these contacts are used to achieve a broader political projects? Now, of course, Museveni, a person will say, but how can Museveni fear Among? But Museveni thinks differently. Museveni is a gorilla.
He doesn't take anything for granted.
Museveni went to the bush. In the first 1 year, I don't think they reached 1,000. There was a government of Milton Obote. How many people did it have? It had a number of 30,000 soldiers. It had IMF and World Bank and all Western countries funding it. It had Tanzanian troops, 20,000 of them, in Luwero fighting Museveni. And he won. So Museveni cannot take anything for granted. He knows that with very small capacity, if you are skilled, you can be a David and take on a Goliath and win. So Museveni thinks differently. Museveni is a master strategist, one of the greatest strategists Africa has produced.
Even in the world, I think.
Yes, without a doubt. And he is able to see far and try to neutralize every threat long before everybody else sees it. Yes. And I kept writing about this, that Anita Among is increasingly becoming a threat to Museveni. Now, for Museveni, he could even say, okay, she has only a 5% chance of threatening me. But for that 5% chance, I don't want to suffer black swan. Do you know black swan? The impact of an adverse, unexpected event Let me give you an example of a black swan. Look at a cock at your house, or a he-goat. This he-goat is born in your home. And then it's a goat, but there are these friendly species of animals called human beings. They provide for its shelter. They give it food. If it is sick, they bring a veterinary doctor to treat it. When lions or other threats come to it, they protect it. So the entire 3 years of this he-goat's life is of a species that is so caring, loving, and all this, until a wedding comes and they have to slaughter it for the wedding, for the reception. That slaughter is totally inconsistent with her entire history, or rather this he-goat, his entire history
of being
pampered by this species of animals called human beings. There is a disconnect between the slaughter, finally, to eat it,
and the way it was being groomed.
Those are called black swans. The impact. So you have this Anita Among. She has done for you all these things. She was always praising you. She has built a hospital named it after Muhoozi.
Even the technical school.
Yes.
We saw Natasha Hall, Museveni Hall, Muhoozi.
She has done all this. But those could be blankets on your sight. They are blinding you from seeing the threat. And that's what Museveni has to look at. Museveni has to say, oh, okay, she's a good girl. She may not threaten me, but in case she does so, I don't want to be shocked.
I don't take the chance.
The impact will be so adverse to me. So I had better decapitate her now.
Take her out now before it.
Once she's decapitated, you know, Museveni is a grandmaster. So he will invite her back, give her something, whatever it is.
Presidential advisor.
Yes, and he will maybe try to prosecute her, but leave her somewhere.